Alright guys, I'm back. Unfortunately, the Madness League isn't quite taking off as well as we'd like it to. We had 3 people at the first showing, and this time we had 4. The same 3 people we had last time with the addition of Eric, which was pretty cool, but we still, only had 4 people. There were some other events going on at Madness at the time, and we had players from some of the other games coming by our table asking, like, "Ooh, what are you guys doing? What's this?" We even had somebody that used to play Duel Masters come by. He actually sat down and played a couple of games with us, which was really cool. Maybe we might see him at the next couple of leagues. That'd be nice. But for now, it's just not quite taking off, which is a bummer. But I mean, we'll just see where it goes over the next couple of weeks. What is exciting though is that the Rusalka Rushdown deck is performing remarkably well. It's going very smoothly. My first game was against Carl. I forget which of his decks he played, but it was just like it was a beatdown. I dispatched of that match really quickly. A match that I want to talk about in particular was the set that I played right afterwards against Eric, because I took some detailed notes on that one, and it's a pretty good example of how games are going whenever the deck just ramps out really well. So I'm gonna pull those out, and I'm just gonna talk about that match real quick. Game 1. I start with a Stalker Sphere turn 2. I didn't have a turn 1 drop. So turn 2 Stalker Sphere. He plays a Refi. I Blinder Beetle the Refi and go for a shield. On his turn, he plays Razorhide. Then I play Rusalka, bounces Refi, and take 2 shields. On his turn 4, he plays Refi again and kills my Blinder Beetle with his Razorhide and gets a mana. My turn 5, I Comet Missile the Refi, and I go for another shield. And at this point, he has 1 shield left, but he doesn't have another blocker to replace the Refi, and I have a Gilaflame in hand. So it didn't technically finish on turn 5, but it was pretty much over when that happened. On game 2, he manages to stick a Hyperspeed Dragon to the field, and I just lose. Like, he followed up with a Morna or something, and from there it was just a miserable day. I would like to note, however, that I'd say about 60 to 70% of the games that I played that day were against Hyperspeed variants, and it was the only time that somebody was able to stick a Hyperspeed Dragon to the board, and of course when that happens they just win. But this is the only time that I had allowed that to happen, so I think that bodes well for this deck's performance against the Hyperspeed deck. Game 3, wet like clockwork. Turn 1 Magris, turn 2 Magris, hit a shield. He plays a Refi. I Blinder Beetle it, go for 2 more shields. He plays Aqua Seneschal. My turn 4, I Ice Blade the Refi, go for 2 more shields. The second one I hit was a trigger, so my Blinder Beetle went to the discard pile. His turn 4. He plays a Gilaflame, and he has a Seneschal already, so he takes out both of my Magrises that are on the board. So now I have no field presence. However, Eric has no shields. So my next turn, I play a Blaze Belcher and a Kenina the Igniter, and on his turn 5, Eric's the kind of guy where if he's going to lose, he plays out the turn anyway, but he admits defeat and then plays a couple of guys and swings, but to no avail. I was able to wrap it up on my turn 6. I just swing in with both my guys, and it's over. And these games, game 1 and game 3 in particular, they seem like come on, ReefPrince, like those, like that's a scenario, but like a lot of the games were going that way. It just ramps out really smoothly. I'm able to remove blockers as they're showing up, and it's going really well. like I said, a lot of my games were against hyperspeed variants. That was going really well. I played a handful of games against Carl's Water Darkness control deck. That was also going remarkably well. The only games that didn't go smoothly were against Gordon's Hovercraft Glurgle aggro deck. But he isn't too quick to take credit for those victories because he was actually misusing Hovercraft Glurgle. He says that his Hovercraft Rescue ability only comes into play whenever you have creatures that are banished through battle. And up until then, he had been playing it to where if they're just banished for any reason, that they go back to the hand. I'm not sure if that difference would have made the difference in our games, but it's worth noting nonetheless. But overall, the Rusalka Rushdown went very well. It runs real smooth. It has just the right amount of removal. It has constant creature pressure, and most importantly, until you get a Rusalka or a Gilaflame, you really don't need to go above 3 mana. You just kind of just pepper the board with little dudes and see what happens. At time of building the deck, I was really worried. I was like, oh, well, if I hit a barrage, I'd die, like, forever. But one game in particular, I had 4 guys on the board. I had a Rusalka, I had a Stalker Sphere, and I think I had a couple of Magrises. I was playing against Carl's red-green hyperspeed deck. I hit a barrage and lost 4 creatures, and I recovered and won anyway. So go figure. It's working really well. I can't wait to try it out today. I'm a little nervous about fighting against blocker-heavy light decks, perhaps a Rally the Reserves deck or something like that, because Blinder Beetling a Refi and going around it is a lot different than Blinder Beetling a Sunstalk Seed and going around that, because the Sunstalk Seed can hit you back, and that'll slow me down a little bit. However, Ice Blades and Comet Missile, should still take care of things as normal. We will see what happens. I'm heading out to Comic Asylum here in about an hour, and the video for those tournament results should be up within a day or two. Until then, I'm ReefPrince. You guys take it easy.